y'all, welcome back to Dr. Wanda and Nursing Ain't for Punks. Hey, listen, so today I just want to talk a little bit about military versus civilian life. The reason I was kind of thinking about doing this is because when I was in the military, I was in there for about 20 years and one day. And just let me tell y'all that being in there for 20 years and one day, it takes a lot. You know, there's only a small percentage of people who can actually stay in the military for a long period of time and deal with those constraints and confinements, and you really do become, our favorite word, institutionalized, because being inside the military is really a real job. You know, people think that we wear these uniforms and sometimes we go to war, sometimes we don't go to war, or most of the time we're just sitting around doing nothing. Well, it's all of that. It's really all of that. I mean, let's think about this. Joining the military to fight for your country is a personal choice now, right? We don't draft our young men anymore. You know, everybody joins as a personal choice. Personally, I think everybody should join the military for at least 2 years. It teaches you quite a few things. You learn organization skills. You learn how to be a leader. You know, you learn how to deal with everyday things and everyday life, and you are better and well adjusted for it. The reason I say that is because today we have so many young people who are always saying, you know, life is so hard. I can't adult today. I can't do any of these things. And then unfortunately, we have some of our babies who have taken their own lives because they feel like they can't cope with the stressors of just plain everyday life. And being in the military taught me a lot of things. I learned that my organizational skills helped me a lot, and it put me in places that I didn't think I could be qualified for. But just being organized, you know, people want you. When they know you're organized and you can take care of things, yeah, they like that. And the military was also a way for me to, as a single mom in those days, come into a job that helped me to advance. I used to work 2 and 3 jobs at a time, and it was exhausting. Coming to the military helped me elevate my children and myself to a different level of living. I met quite a few people. I made friends from all races, ethnic backgrounds, all over the world, not just the United States. And, you know, I just learned to be a well-rounded, adjusted human being. Some of my thought processes at 29 years of age when I joined the military were not always correct. You know, I had an upbringing where I was taught certain things, and I learned that those things were not the truth. I learned how to deal with people from every race, every background. I learned that I could be strong and I could stand on my own 2 feet. I learned that I could be a great mother to my kids, and I could be in an organization that, even though it took time away from those children, I was able to take care of them and give them health benefits and take them to see the world. These were things that, as young black kids, you know, my 2 older sons at the time and now my daughter, they wouldn't have been able to do that. I would not have been able to do that for them had I not joined the military and experienced those things myself. Being in the military, you're always told what to do, where to go, what to do, how to look, what uniform to wear, what is the location, what time. You never have to really think in the military. I know you're supposed to, and I know people are probably like, what do you mean you don't think? Well, when I say you don't think, I mean it as in, you don't have to wonder what you're going to wear to work today. You already know. You don't have to wonder what you're going to be doing today. You know. You don't have to wonder where you're going to be doing it today, because you know. If there was anything I could say in the military that young people and even myself probably had the worst thought process about, was communication. In the military, if you don't communicate, people die. That's just a known fact. Now, everyone won't agree with that, okay? That's my thought process on it. But lack of communication, lack of training, lack of knowledge, those things can cause people to die, especially at wartime and in a wartime event. So I learned that communicating with people is key. I also learned that you can like pull in more people when you are respectful of them. And respect goes both ways. We say that in the military a lot. Oh, respect goes both ways, sir. Respect goes both ways, sir, ma'am. The reason we say that is because we wear our rank on our chest. So you never have to wonder what a person's rank is. If they're, especially for me, I was Army, so we have enlisted, we have officers, and we have what are called warrant officers. Okay? So you never had to worry about, who this person was or what their rank was or even their last name, because all of that is worn right there on your chest. But we used to say respect goes both ways, or just respect my rank, because a lot of times, you would have people who had authority and they just felt like you were nothing, but you were making them look like rock stars. I learned that respecting people is part of life, right? Is everybody going to respect you? No, they won't. But you don't have to be like those people. You have to be yourself. And a part of my issues being in the military was I was a person who I was myself. There's a little running joke inside the military. Hey, send those people back to basic training. They didn't get brainwashed enough. I wasn't a brainwashed person. I didn't join the military until I was 29 years old, which is basically a fossil for the Army, for anybody, for any military branch. 29 years old is basically a fossil. Now, I know in the military, at one point, the age to join as an enlisted person was up to 35, and you could not turn 35 before you finished basic training. So you had to get in there at 34 as quickly as possible so that you could, get through basic, get through your military school or AIT, advanced individual training, and then go on to your first duty station. Well, at 29 years old, I was called things like private grandma. Or because they knew I was from upstate New York, they used to say things like, why you can't fire your weapon? You better go ahead and act like you rolling down that window and you finna pull a drive-by and just put that weapon out there and shoot it. But the military was a great time for me. At first I hated it because I was used to doing my own thing, wearing my hair how I wanted to, having nails, right? Wearing makeup. And not that you couldn't do those things, but we had what was called AR 670-1, which pretty much was the Bible that taught you how you should look, how you should dress, right? What kind of makeup colors you could wear, how your nails could look, and your hair should be up and off your collar. All these things were inside that Bible, right? And so it was hard, but I learned that looking neat, presenting that professional front, it was key. It made everybody look the same to your left and to your right, and a lot of people don't like that because they want to be an individual. And inside the military, you really have to be a team. You need to have a team dynamic, right? You cannot just feel like you can go in there and just be yourself all willy-nilly, which is probably the reason why now in the military the standards have relaxed quite a bit, even in the Army. You have women who are wearing their hair in different styles. They're wearing nails. They're even wearing different hair colors. This is huge. You could wear earrings now in your regular work uniform, meaning in your ACU, right? The more camouflaged looking uniform. And it's not as camouflaged as it used to be, but for all my people who remember camouflage uniforms, that's your work uniform every day, right? So we couldn't do that when I was in the military, but now you can. Other branches like the Air Force and I believe the Navy, they could wear the same earrings that I have on right now. They could wear those with their everyday work uniform. Well, they're moving toward a younger, stronger force. So what they want is a little bit more individualism, a little bit more relaxed standards so they can embrace the younger people to come in. Our fighting force is small now. I may be retired, but I still keep up with, what's going on inside of the Army, new trends, new physical fitness training, new war training. So I still keep up with it. Once you retire, you kind of never really let it go because you can't. And I know you all are like, didn't she say this was military versus civilian life? I mean, she's still talking about the military. Well, the military is what I know. I've known it. I knew it for 20 years. I've been retired now for 5 years. I'm still getting used to the transition, right? When I first retired back in 2017, it was very hard. It was hard. I cried a lot. Becoming a civilian, right? A civilian. Sounds crazy to say. Becoming a civilian, again, I should say, because I was previously a civilian, right? Before I joined the military. But I didn't think of it as being a civilian. But now, in 2017, Dr. Wanda, who wasn't Dr. Wanda then, she was just Wanda, retired Staff Sergeant, U.S. Army. I had already obtained my nursing degree, and while I was on what we call transition leave, I was working as a nurse. It was hard. It was very, very hard. The difficulty of transitioning from military life to civilian life was, I would say, probably almost felt insurmountable. I felt like I wasn't going to be able to transition from the military to the civilian side. And then everything civilian people did got on my nerves, y'all. Oh my gosh. How come civilian people come to work and you're supposed to be there at 8, but you there at 8? Like, who does that? How do you open your office at 8? Should you be there just a little bit earlier so that you could open the office early, power up all of your equipment, get yourself together, maybe get a cup of coffee, y'all, and then, ta-da, we're ready to go at 8 o'clock. But not civilian people. Ooh, that used to worry me to death. I couldn't stand it. How come nobody cares how they look when they come to work? Now, this is not for everybody, okay? I'm not talking about people who dress a lot. I'm not talking about people who are, in corporate or, lawyers, or I'm not talking about even maybe influencers. That's a real job now, y'all. Influencers, baby. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about, let's just say, nurses, right? I've seen nurses come to work who look like they pulled their uniform out of a duffel bag. I've also seen nurses come to work whose hair looks like mine looks right now. It looks pretty, right? But is it practical while you're at work? Now, I get it. Everybody's not going to pull their hair back in a bun like we're in the military, Dr. Wanda, but have pride. Have pride in your uniform. I didn't say everybody had to iron their uniform, right? Because a lot of people are like, I don't iron my uniform. If I have some wrinkles in it, girl, I just throw that thing in the dryer and pull it out and shake it. And then I'm on my way to work. I don't have time for that. But what the military taught me was having pride in yourself. Now, I'm going to tell y'all, I know you're going to say, well, you don't have pride in yourself, Dr. Wanda? Like, I have pride in myself, girl. I don't need the military to tell me that. It's not that I needed the military to tell me that. But they reinforced and upgraded me on my thought process of having pride in yourself and how you look, right? Whenever a woman, and I'm not saying that it's not for you gentlemen, I'm just saying when a woman is dressed impeccably, she's got her face on, she's got her hair done, right? We're popping, oiled, shiny, girl, we looking good. Don't you feel good, bro, right? I feel like just because you're a nurse or a doctor or whatever other job, a lawyer, you should always look good, even if you wear a uniform. There is nothing that says because you wear a nursing uniform every day that you cannot look good and look neat when you get to work. Now, Once you get to work, baby, as a nurse, all bets are off, right? You might get some poo on you. You might get some blood on you. You might get some puke on you. You might get some pee on you. You might get any kind of horrible bodily functions that have anything that can leak. Yeah, it might get on you. But when you get to work, though, shouldn't you show up looking good, feeling good? I mean, nursing is hard, baby. Like I said, it ain't for punks. You know, people think that nursing or nurses are just wearing cute uniforms and come to work. Baby, we save lives. Literally, nurses are the ones, right? And hear me on this, because I know a lot of people think it's doctors. Hear me on this. Nurses run hospitals. Nurses are the people who literally have to talk to the Lord every day and ask him, can I just hold on a little longer? Because you're keeping someone out of Jesus's hands. And that's really not your job per se, to keep them away from Jesus. But it is, though, because your job is to keep people alive, right? Your job is to take care of people, to give them the comfort they need, to have empathy and sympathy. Try doing all of those things as a former military person and coming to the civilian side and feeling every day like you don't belong there, like you will never fit in, crying in the bathroom because you can't deal with what's going on. You don't know how to talk to people. You still say military lingo, right? You're in the bathroom calling your husband or maybe your wife and saying, hey, I don't know how to deal with this. Your heart is beating fast. It's racing. You feel like you're going to have a panic attack. You may have had a small panic attack, actually. You have anxiety. Your palms are sweaty. The transition is scary. My husband has a cousin who went into the military at 17 years old. At 17 years old, you are somebody's baby. You're not even legal to leave your house. Your parents have to sign you into the military and say, yes, they're okay with you going because you graduated high school, but you're not yet 18, right? Let's say you stay in there. Let's say that you stay in the military from 17 years old and you stay in 23 years. 23 years. That's 40 years old when you come out. It's almost like doing a prison bid. The only difference is you're not really in prison, right? Well, for some people they might feel like that, but really you're not in prison, right? Now you come back out from your little bubble of the military life, and you're a civilian. And do you want to find a job? Can you find a job? Did you go to school and do things that prepared you for civilian life? Here's a kicker. The military has a program where they call themselves preparing you for civilian life. I'm here to tell you, people, they don't prepare you. You're totally unprepared. They teach you things like wear a nice belt that matches your shoes, have on nice slacks and a nice shirt or a nice dress or a nice suit. Make sure your hair looks this way and you speak this way and you act that way. And then when you get out here and you want to go somewhere like Google or Amazon, they may not care if you wear a suit to the interview or not, because the requirements are not that you have to wear a suit. That's antiquated, right? Do we really wear suits to work? Hell, right now we have people who are working from home and you don't even know. Right now I can have on pajama pants. But to be honest, I don't have on pajamas. It's an actual dress, okay? I have a whole dress on. But you see my point, right? If someone is telling you that you can get a job on the outside, a career on the outside, that you actually can compare it to what you did in the military, and then when you come out, there is no job. Here's an example. We have a job in the military that's called water treatment specialist, right? When you come out of the military into the civilian world, can you do water treatment specialist? And if so, where do you do it? Now, I'm not going to say the job is not out there. I've never looked for it. But what I will say is, can you actually get the job? How do you look for it? Where do you go interview, right? What do you wear to that interview? These are questions that a lot of military people don't ask themselves before leaving the military. And they come out and they come into the civilian world, and you think the civilian world is going to embrace you, and they don't. And now you're left thinking, I spent 20 to 25 to maybe even 30 years in the military, and I don't even know what to do when I come here and try to get this job. And then another thing, here's how my husband had a problem transitioning. He was a boss, right? First sergeant, we called him top, meaning the top enlisted person, right? Next to sergeant major, but he ran his company. He ran thousands of troops from PT on to anything that he had to do that would prepare them for just regular everyday and then wartime events, right? How do you come out of the military, transition to civilian life, and then you're no longer that same boss? Who can go to the bottom? That's pretty hard. Now, I'm a woman and I don't want to be on the bottom. So I can't imagine a man who was in charge of hundreds of people, millions of dollars of equipment, and now he has to start at the bottom at some low entry position. That's hard to do. That's hard to swallow. That causes anxiety and angst. How do I take care of my family? How do I do what I need to do for my family if I've got to make these small coins? Well, people are going to say, don't you get those extra checks? You get all those extra checks. Oh my gosh. Military people, when they retire, they get 2 checks and 3 checks and 4 checks. Maybe so, but you still have living expenses. What if you've bought a home, but you used to live in a townhouse or an apartment? What if you purchase another car, and then someone else can come out and say, do you really need all those things? You don't need those things. You're retired. You shouldn't work again. You should just get a condo and just have one car and go over here. That's not reality, right? Who wants to live that small life? There are people out there, don't get me wrong, but not everybody is just in that small little box in a condo somewhere, right? Civilian life after the military is hard. Reintegrating yourself is hard. It's just as difficult to reintegrate yourself into civilian life from military as it is to come back from deployment home to your family. And I know people are like, well, why is that difficult? Well, it's difficult because you've been gone and only worried about yourself for 12 months, possibly even 18 at one point. And you didn't have to cook, you didn't have to do anything. You took care of yourself and tried to help your fellow battles, and then you wanted to make sure you came back alive if it was God's will. So you don't think about the difficulties of coming back and reintegrating yourself into your family, because reintegrating yourself into your family is difficult. Well, yeah, that's your spouse. Whether they were male or female, your spouse has been running that house the way they wanted to do it for 12 to 18 months while you were gone, right? They've done whatever with the kids, if you have them. They've had their own routine, just as you've had your own routine. Now y'all have to come back together. And y'all have to figure out how to coexist again in a home that only had one parent or one person in it, and you were off doing your own thing over here. Everybody's happy to be reunited. That's not the point. The point is reintegration. So reintegrating from military to civilian is as difficult. And I had an issue because before I went to the military, customer service was big. Customers were always right, and you could get help if you needed it. Now I come out and people are like, I'm not taking this toaster back, you just keep it. You have a receipt? Oh my gosh. I mean, why are you hollering at me? Maybe I don't want the toaster. I got to keep the toaster? Here's the thing too. What happened to customer service? We don't even do customer service anymore. And the people we do have that make the effort to do customer service are far and few in between. So military versus civilian life, yeah, it's difficult. Anyone who actually retired knows what I'm talking about. And I just wanted to give y'all a little taste of military versus civilian. I know we talked about a whole lot of things, and I went to the left and to the right and all kinds of places, but just remember, if you have a family member, a friend, or a husband, wife, or significant other who has or is or will transition from military to civilian life, talk to them. Let them talk to you. Let them express how they feel. You express how you feel too. It's got to be an open communication, back and forth, right? Because how do you understand how the other person feels if you're not communicating? This is where some couples go wrong, because they can't communicate and they just feel like the other person has shut them out. Sometimes that military person is not shutting you out. They just don't know how to express how they feel. Thank you for listening, and I hope y'all have a great day. I'm your girl, Dr. Wanda, and remember, nursing ain't for punks.